Have you ever seen someone judged in a single moment, only to discover they were far more powerful than anyone imagined? Stay with me until the end of this story, because what happened in that restaurant changed an arrogant billionaire forever. And if stories about courage, dignity, and unexpected justice inspire you, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another powerful story like this one. It was a cold winter evening in Berlin. Snowflakes drifted slowly through the glowing streetlights while people hurried past cafes and restaurants trying to escape the freezing wind. Inside a cozy but busy restaurant near the city center, the warmth of laughter, clinking glasses, and quiet music filled the air. Among the waitresses moving quickly between tables was a young woman named Anna. She wore the same simple uniform as everyone else, black apron, white shirt, and tired shoes that had seen better days. Her brown hair was tied in a neat ponytail, and although she looked calm, her eyes carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who had been working far too hard for far too long. Anna had been working double shifts for months. Most customers only saw a waitress bringing food and drinks, but behind that uniform was a story filled with struggle and determination. 2 years earlier, Anna's life had collapsed almost overnight. Her father had passed away after a long illness, leaving behind medical bills that nearly buried the family. Her mother could no longer work due to health problems, and Anna had to abandon her university studies to support them both. She never complained, she simply worked. That evening the restaurant was unusually busy. Tourists filled the tables, couples celebrated anniversaries, and businessmen discussed deals over expensive wine. Anna moved gracefully between them, smiling politely even when her feet ached. Around 8 o'clock, a black luxury car stopped outside the restaurant. It was the kind of car that made people turn their heads. A tall man stepped out, adjusting his expensive coat. His name was Viktor Klein, one of Germany's youngest billionaires. At just 40 years old, Viktor owned several technology companies and was known across Europe for his wealth and influence. But he was also known for something else, his arrogance. Viktor entered the restaurant with 2 associates, speaking loudly and laughing as if the entire place existed only for his entertainment. The manager immediately rushed forward, greeting him with exaggerated politeness. "Mr. Klein, welcome, your table is ready." They were seated at the best table near the window. Anna was assigned to serve them. She approached calmly, carrying menus. "Good evening," she said politely. "My name is Anna, I'll be taking care of you tonight." Viktor barely looked up at first. Then his eyes scanned her from head to toe. Something about his expression made Anna uncomfortable. "Anna, huh," he said with a smirk. "Tell me, Anna, is this your dream job?" His friends chuckled. Anna remained calm. "What would you like to drink?" But Viktor wasn't finished. "I'm serious," he continued. "Did you wake up one day and think, yes, I want to spend my life carrying plates for people like us?" More laughter from his table. Other customers began glancing over. Anna kept her composure. She had dealt with rude customers before. "Would you prefer sparkling or still water?" she asked. Viktor leaned back in his chair, clearly amused by her professionalism. "You're very serious," he said. "Relax, we're just joking." One of his associates whispered something and laughed again. "Maybe if you worked harder in school," Viktor continued loudly, "you wouldn't be stuck serving food." The words hung in the air. For a moment, the restaurant grew quieter. Anna stood still, holding her notepad. She could feel every eye in the room watching. And for the first time, Viktor looked directly into her eyes. What he expected was embarrassment. What he saw instead was calm confidence. Anna took a slow breath. Then she spoke. "Actually," she said softly, "I did work very hard in school." Viktor raised an eyebrow. "But life sometimes changes our plans," she continued. "That doesn't make a person less valuable." Her voice wasn't angry, it was steady, and that made the room even quieter. Viktor smirked again. "Well," he said, "if life changed your plans so much, maybe you should have planned better." A few customers frowned, but Anna didn't react the way Viktor expected. Instead, she asked calmly, "May I ask you a question, Mr. Klein?" The billionaire looked surprised. "Sure," he said. "Go ahead." Anna tilted her head slightly. "Do you believe a person's worth is measured by their job?" Viktor shrugged. "In most cases, yes." Anna nodded slowly. "I see." She wrote something on her notepad. Then she looked back up. "Then tonight might be an interesting evening for you." Viktor laughed loudly. "Oh really? Why's that?" Anna smiled politely. "You'll see." She walked away to place their order. The associates laughed again. "What was that about?" one asked. Viktor waved his hand dismissively. Just a waitress trying to sound smart. But something about Anna's calmness had planted a small seed of curiosity in his mind. Meanwhile, Anna continued working as if nothing had happened. She served other tables, refilled drinks, and carried trays through the crowded restaurant. But inside, she was remembering something her father used to tell her. Respect isn't something you demand, he would say. It's something you live. 20 minutes later, Anna returned with Viktor's order. She placed each dish carefully on the table. Everything looked perfect. Viktor inspected his plate. Finally, he said, "I was starting to think you forgot about us." Anna ignored the remark. "Enjoy your meal." As she turned to leave, Viktor called out again. "Wait." She stopped. "Yes." He pointed at the plate. "You're sure this is the best you can do?" Anna looked at the dish. "Yes." Viktor picked up his fork. Then he said something that made several nearby customers shake their heads. "You know, if serving food doesn't work out, maybe you could try comedy." That little speech earlier was hilarious. More laughter from his table. Anna paused. Then she slowly turned back. And this time, her reply would change everything. "Mr. Klein," she said calmly, "I know who you are." The table went silent. Viktor looked amused. "Of course you do." But Anna continued, "And I also know your company just signed a partnership contract this morning." Now Viktor frowned. "How do you know that?" Anna reached into her apron. She pulled out her phone. Then she placed it on the table. On the screen was a document. Viktor leaned closer. His expression changed instantly, because it was a copy of the same contract he had signed earlier that day. His associates stared. "How did you get this?" Viktor demanded. Anna looked at him calmly. "Because I helped write it." For the first time all evening, Viktor had no words. The entire table froze. Anna continued quietly. "Before my father got sick, I was studying international business and law. I also worked as a research assistant for a consulting firm." Viktor's face slowly drained of color. "That consulting firm," Anna said, "was hired by your company for the partnership agreement." One of Viktor's associates whispered, "Wait, are you serious?" Anna nodded. "I worked on that project for 6 months. Viktor stared at the phone again. Every detail was correct. Every clause. Every signature page. It was impossible for her to have it unless she had truly been involved. "But, you're a waitress," Viktor said weakly. Anna smiled gently. For now, the room was completely silent. Then she added the sentence that left Viktor speechless. "Sometimes people aren't where they belong yet, they're just passing through." The words hit harder than any insult. Viktor opened his mouth, but nothing came out. For the first time in years, the billionaire didn't know what to say. Anna picked up the phone and slipped it back into her apron. "Enjoy your dinner," she said calmly. Then she walked away. Around the restaurant, people began whispering. Some smiled, others looked impressed. At Viktor's table, no one laughed anymore. For several minutes, Viktor simply stared at his plate. The arrogance that had filled the room earlier was gone. In its place was something unfamiliar. Humility. Finally, he pushed his chair back and stood up. His associates looked confused. "Where are you going?" But Viktor didn't answer. He walked across the restaurant until he found Anna near the counter. She turned when she heard his footsteps. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Then Viktor did something no one in the restaurant expected. He apologized. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Anna studied his face. For the first time, there was no arrogance there. Just sincerity. "You didn't deserve that," Viktor continued. Anna nodded. "No one does." He took a deep breath. "You were right," he said. "I judged you without knowing anything about you." Anna smiled slightly. "That happens a lot." Viktor looked around the restaurant. Then he asked something surprising. "When do you finish your shift?" Anna raised an eyebrow. "In 2 hours." Viktor nodded. "Then I'll wait." Her eyes widened slightly. "Why?" He smiled awkwardly. "Because I'd like to ask if you'd consider finishing the work you started with my company." Anna crossed her arms thoughtfully. "And why would I do that?" Viktor answered honestly. "Because clearly, you're far more qualified than many people already working for me." Anna studied him for a long moment. Then she laughed softly. "Let's talk after my shift." And that night, the arrogant billionaire who once mocked a waitress sat quietly in a corner for 2 hours, waiting. Because sometimes the most powerful lessons come from the people we underestimate the most. And sometimes, the person carrying your plate today might be the one signing your contracts tomorrow. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this remind us of something the world often forgets. Never judge someone by where they are today. You never know where they're going tomorrow.